Good girl. What's going on in anatomy and physiology? I brought my buddy here because I showed you my other dog, Dak, but I thought I would kind of start this video off on a positive note, but with this dog. This is my other dog. This is Belle. Say hi, Belle. Good girl. Belle is another rescue dog. She was in a pound. We got her brother, and then my daughter and my wife. You know, the lady who was, I don't know how it worked, but she was kind of profiting a little bit from getting these dogs out to other people. We asked to see Dak, the boy, and she just happened to bring, wasn't an accident, I'm sure, this dog with her. They're both little puppies. She said, this is her sister, this is his sister, and both my family members at that point looked at me, or all of my family members at that point looked at me, and they gave me the puppy dog eyes. In other words, can we get both of them instead of one? This was the other one. Now I'm glad we did that. This is Belle. She is a good dog. Man, of all the dogs I've had my entire life, and I've had dogs ever since I was born, this is the number one. Take a wild guess what she's best at. Of all the dogs I've ever seen, this, number one best, snuggler of the group. Best snuggler. You cannot imagine how good at snuggling. Now she's got some trust issues, but once she trusts you, oh my gosh, you better be ready because she's going to jump in your lap, and then she's going to go, whoo, and for hours she's going to do that. She loves snuggling. She's really awesome at that. There's some things she's not so awesome at. We're not going to talk about the negatives, but the positives are she's great at snuggling, and she can jump like over the moon. This dog can jump. Oh my gosh. So this is Belle. Thought we'd start off with Belle. Good girl, Belle. Go on and do your thing. But now we're going to move into the next video. This is going to be a repeat video because I've done it before. I lost it. I don't know. I can't find it. I can't get it. I'm not going to get into that because I'm trying not to cry over all the technical issues. However, I think this one's going to work. So we're getting into hormones. Hormones. Now, if you're following along the series, you should have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, 3 was missing for a while. It should be. It's actually uploading right now onto YouTube. However, I think we're at number 6. Remember, the duodenum is the place where you probably want to spend the most time studying. Now, I brought a model here to kind of illustrate. This is an old model. A student made this for me for extra credit a long time ago. It's actually life-sized alimentary canal. It's 28 feet long. She did a great job on it. I'm still trying not to cough. But let's go over and let's find out where we are right now. All right, this is supposed to represent the mouth. This is the mouth. You chew up the food, you chew it 30 times, you mix the 3 salivary secretions, and you should know your 3 salivary glands onto it. At that point, you no longer have food. You have what is called a bolus, B-O-L-U-S, a bolus. At that point, you're going to initiate the swallowing reflex. You're going to do this by moving that bolus through the back of your throat into a place called the pharynx, and you should know this, pronounce it correctly, pharynx. The pharynx is the back of your throat. At that point, when you start to swallow, the swallowing reflex involves this flap of tissue, which if you saw video number 3, and if not, you should pause this one, go to 3, see that one, make sure you see it because it had to come on late. But now, this flap of tissue called the epiglottis is going to cover up the trachea, this tube in the front that's held open by cartilage that takes air to your lungs. This is not digestive, obviously. It's called the trachea. It's going to cover up the trachea. It's going to force food to the flattened tube behind it called the esophagus. And that's what this is supposed to represent. We're talking 5 seconds. Peristaltic waves moving through here. But peristalsis, as you know from looking at video number 3, does not start in the esophagus. I'm not even going to tell you where it starts because go look at 3, find out. It will be on the test. We're talking 5 seconds going down through here. Then we hit the cardiac sphincter or the lower esophageal sphincter. Here's the stomach. 3 to 4 hours, 3 to 5 hours, depending on what you eat. Excuse me, 3 hours if it's like pasta. All right, high carbohydrates, 3 hours. If it's fats and proteins, you're looking at 4 to 5 hours. Now, the sphincter on the bottom of the stomach, called the pyloric sphincter, it will stay closed until that time is ready where your body senses, okay, it's ready to move. Then the pyloric sphincter opens up, and your stomach will start forcing contents into the first section of your small intestines called the duodenum. the duodenum. You can say duodenum if you want, you can say duodenum, but that's kind of where we are, and this is the one place, if you said V, tell me one place to study in the entire alimentary canal. First thing I'd say is, you don't want to study one place, because the test is not on just one place. And if you said V, I've got like 1 hour, where should I study? I say, if you can't really study it all except for one place, this is going to have the most questions, the duodenum, because the pancreas is attached to it, the liver that fell off is also attached to it, and they both are accessory organs that are contributing to the already busy stuff that happens right here in the duodenum. So in my mind, it's like a Los Angeles highway system where they intersect and it's crazy, all these things happen. It's also like an awesome blender. I don't know if you have a really awesome blender in your house, but do you have a blender where you hit it and it just turns everything to mush? In a chemical sense, this is like my Ninja blender. I've got a Ninja blender, awesome Ninja blender. All right, powerful. I can put anything in that sucker, push the top down, and it's gone. And chemically, this is the duodenum. That's what it does. It's awesome. The stomach, this is like your grandma's blender. You know that old blender where you push the buttons and they stick in, and it barely works, and it only blends the stuff on the bottom? It doesn't do a good job on it. And the stomach, I don't think, is even designed to do a good job. It does the first cuts, the first major things chemically, but then the Ninja, we're talking Ninja right here. All right, so let's go to hormones. We're now looking at hormones in this area. One is a gastric hormone, two are going to be duodenal hormones, and these are going to be very important hormones for digestion. Your book has a few more, but focus on these for your test. All right, let's start. Let's start with the topic, which is digestive hormones. Now, one thing different from a hormone from an enzyme, hormones go into the blood. They never touch the food. Enzymes are put on the food, like pancreatic amylase, like lipase, like hydrochloric acid could be considered an enzyme. If it's something biochemical and it's put on the food, it's different than these hormones. Hormones are like bosses with bullhorns that tell the body what to do. All right, bosses with bullhorns. It doesn't actually get in there and do the actual work. It tells other hormones, tell other things what it wants it to do. For example, the first digestive hormone that you have to know is this thing called gastrin. Gastrin is a digestive hormone, all right? You know it's a hormone because most of the hormones that we're talking about, especially in digestion, they end in IN. They don't end in ASE like pancreatic lipase, like pancreatic amylase. They don't end in like enterokinase. Those things end in ASE. These, they tend to end in IN if it's a digestive hormone. And then this word gaster, Latin word, sorry, means stomach. Gaster means stomach. So this is going to be a stomach hormone. Now, we're going to put the hormone, then we're going to put the function of that hormone right here. Now, let's say that you and I go to that Asian buffet. It's actually called Asian Buffet over there by the Alcoa Walmart. It's part of that series of buildings there. I love going there. They're kind of expensive. But let's say we go there and we want to get our money's worth. Okay, because they charge quite a bit. So we're not going up for one plate of food. I'm going up for 4. I'm looking at 4. All right. Now, when I go up there after my 4th plate, my stomach is going to stretch. It's going to stretch. All right. Here's my stomach, supposed to be right here. It's going to get bigger, and it's going to be helped to get bigger by those rugae that are on the inside, which increase surface area, but it also lets your stomach to expand on a big meal. Now, I shouldn't do this because I know that as I age, that if I stretch a tissue, it doesn't snap back as much. Younger people can do this, but if you get in the habit of doing this, your stomach stretches out, it doesn't come back. But here we are in the stomach. If the stomach wall stretches and distends, gastrin tells the stomach something. And it makes sense what it says. It just makes sense. Because if you have a whole lot more food in there, you're going to have a whole lot more of the gastric 5. You need more gastric 5. And remember the gastric 5. They are, help me out here. I'm watching, help me out. Hydrochloric acid, pepsinogen, pepsin, mucus to help protect the wall, and the intrinsic factor which allows you to absorb vitamin B12. You should have all those down by now. They're all over the test. Gastrin says, if it was going to say something, it's going to say, give me more of the gastric 5. Oops, I misspelled gastric, the gastric 5. Like a boss in a factory that says, we have to have more, I need more gastric 5 on the bullhorn. It's saying, up to the stomach, goes into the blood, more gastric 5 is a signal from Gastrin. Alright, so you got to know that one. That one's a pretty major one. So let's go to another one. There's 3 that you have to know. Now, one thing I want you to know is in the stomach, your pH has to be low. You're talking like pH 3, pH 4 is pretty typical. It has to be low. I cough all through the winter. Some winters, it's not COVID, I promise. I just cough a lot in the winter times when I talk a lot. So pH is low in the stomach, but you do not want a low pH in the duodenum. By the time your duodenum takes place, by the time the food is in the duodenum, you need to neutralize it. Remember, in the stomach, you have to have a low pH so that, I'm waiting, nobody said it. Oh, there, somebody said it. You're right. Pepsinogen gets converted to pepsin with an acid environment. But now, you don't want that to happen in the duodenum. Now you've got the duodenum, there's your pancreas, here's your duodenum. You need the pH more around neutral here. You don't want an acid here. So the pancreas, understandably, secretes a base. It's going to be a base, like Pepto-Bismol is a base, like Alka-Seltz are base, and it's going to neutralize acidic chyme. Now when the food is mixed with your stomach, the bolus is mixed with your stomach, and the gastric 5, they start calling it chyme at that point. C-H-Y-M-E. Acidic chyme entering in here meets a base from the pancreas and it neutralizes it. And so you want it to be neutral. But let's say that we're having a problem with stomach acid. In other words, let's say we say as a class, let's forget COVID-19. Let's just break all the rules. Let's have a big gathering at that Buffalo Wings place. I can never remember what it's called, but it's over there by Dick's Sporting Goods. It's like Wild Bill's Buffalo Wings. Guys, let's meet at Wild Bill's Buffalo Wings, or is it Buffalo Wild Wings? I don't remember what it is. But we're going there. We're going to have a wings eating contest. All right? So let's head out there. So we're going to eat a super spicy habanero wing. It's going to drop our stomach pH further than it normally is. Our body's going to have issues with a super low pH in the stomach, but then that high acidic content is going to enter our duodenums. How long later is the question. Here we go. How long later will that happen? Well, we just had a meal high in fats. We had a meal high in proteins. Chicken is protein. They fry it. It's a lot of fatty proteins. We're talking 4 or 5 hours later. We're entering the duodenum. That pyloric sphincter will open up. We're going to enter the duodenum 4 or 5 hours later. Okay? Now, if it's acidic chyme, then we're going to have to create this hormone and release it called secretin. Secretin. Its signal is going to say, give me more base from the pancreas. And it's going to say it loudly. I need more base because we have acidic chyme right here in the duodenum. It's not supposed to be acidic. And so we're going to have more base. So secretin takes care of that job. Now we're going to our last hormone. There's 3 total hormones. This is the one your book describes as the most important of the digestive hormones. And it's crazy that the book says one thing is more important than another. To me, is interesting and it's weird, but that's what they say for this one. And this one has 3 functions. And it's cholecystokinin. I used to pronounce it cholecystokinin, but then I had a gallbladder test over there at East Tennessee Medical Center, I think is what it's called, and the nurse said cholecystokinin. We're going to inject you with cholecystokinin, which I thought was weird. I thought we studied cholecystokinin, but she was calling it cholecystokinin. I don't care how you say it. Potatoes, potatoes. Hey, Belle is wanting some loving. She's a good snuggler. I can't do any loving right now, Belle. I can't do it. And so cholecystokinin is going to be one of those super important digestive hormones, and actually says 3 different things, and yes, you have to know all 3 things. All right, so one of the things that's going to be a result after our Buffalo Wild Wings eating contest is not only a low pH, but we're also going to have a lot of fats and proteins enter that duodenum. A lot of fatty proteins are going to leave our stomach and enter the duodenum. Now, fats and proteins are harder to break down than carbohydrates. All right, carbohydrates, long chains of sugars, lots of energy. That's why before a sporting event, you carb up. They're quick to break down. They provide lots of energy. Fats and proteins, slow to break down, especially proteins. Now we have a whole lot of that fatty protein stuff entering the duodenum, and we have to do something. We got to do something. In other words, we have to have more things that are going to break down fats and proteins, and we have a whole lot of it. So we're going to have to do several things. So cholecystokinin, like a bullhorn, the boss with a bullhorn says to 3 different places. That's 3 different things. Here's what it says. Number 1, it says to the liver, specifically the gallbladder. Remember the gallbladder holds? Remember what it stores? Yeah, 4 or 5 of you said it just now. Great, good job. Bile, you're correct. It talks to the gallbladder, and it says to the gallbladder, hey gallbladder, I gotta have more bile. Give me more bile. Why do we have to have more bile? Well, it's pretty simple. It says give me more bile to the gallbladder because you know that those bile salts in that bile, that they emulsify fats. So the fats, they make big fats to smaller fats, and we have to emulsify fats so that we can harvest 4 vitamins that are going to be on your test. A, D, E, and K. Check out the bile video for that. A, D, E, and K are the fat-soluble vitamins that we're going to get from breaking down fats in our diet. So it's going to say, give me more bile to the gallbladder. The second thing it's going to say is to the stomach itself. It's actually a duodenal hormone. It comes from the duodenum, and it says to the stomach a signal, and it says slow all gastric things. In other words, slow gastric motility, so quit pushing food as fast down here. It says to quit secreting a whole bunch more acids like hydrochloric acid, because we need time to do all this. So slow down everything you're doing gastrically, and stomach to stop, because we're trying to catch up down here in the duodenum. But then it has a third signal, and the third signal you can probably predict. I mean, where would it be? I mean, what would you do if you were cholecystokinin and you had a lot of fats and proteins in the duodenum? What would you say? I mean, I would say stomach, slow down. We got to slow down. I can't move that fast. I would tell the gallbladder, I'd say, I got to have more bile. But then I'm going to talk to the pancreas. I'm going to talk to the pancreas. Remember, we have excess fats and proteins. And so I'm going to say to the pancreas, give me more of the pancreatic 5. Okay, and that's going to mean you should be able to name the pancreatic 5 right now, like right off the top of your head. You should be able to name 4 of them actually pancreatic, 1 is not. But let's start with the protein splitters. There's a bunch from the pancreas. All you really have to know is the first inactive protein splitter. The first inactive one is trypsinogen. Okay, trypsinogen is the inactive protein splitter that's converted to trypsin. All right. Then you also have pancreatic lipase, you have pancreatic amylase, and you have the one that's actually duodenal, but it's not actually pancreatic. It's enterokinase. Enterokinase makes trypsinogen get converted to trypsin and starts breaking up proteins. All right, those are your pancreatic 5. There's a base in there too, and it's part of a whole new thing called nuclease, but don't worry about that. But those are your pancreatic 5. Cholecystokinin says this. Now, these things help you regulate digestion. All right, they're going to get in there and help you a whole lot to regulate digestion. And these are some of the hardest things to remember for the test. I'd make index cards, I'd make quiz sheets, I'd make sure I knew it, because when we get back together, don't be surprised when I say, get out your computers, we're getting our digestion test taken care of, and none of you should go, what, we're having a digestion test? Yes, we're not on break, guys. This is not spring break. This is we got to be sequestered out because this COVID-19 is worse than they thought that it was going to be. So that's what's going on. Anyway, this is Mr. V. Come here, Mom. Good girl. Yes, good girl. This is Mr. V with his little buddy Bill. Checking out from COVID-19 Workshop Series video number 6.